I hope you don't mind. I was hungry, so I brought a snack. The organizers asked that I make it disappear, and I figured there's two ways to do that. One involves a big spoon and me rudely eating in front of all of you. The other involves stemming the flow of investment capital to companies like Maple Hill Creamery, companies whose products and services support a good food system. Without investment capital, Maple Hill Creamery wouldn't exist, and I'd be left very hungry. We have thousands of good food entrepreneurs and hundreds of good food companies. What we need more of now are good food investors. We need that investment capital to make our good food system a reality. In 2003, Tim and Laura Joseph bought a small dairy farm in upstate New York. They went organic, and they quickly found that the price of organic feed was too much for a small farm to bear. They looked out at their pasture, and they saw fields of grass, and they went all in, 100% grass-fed dairy, and they immediately found that the health of their cattle improved. They started making yogurt on their kitchen counter. They fed it to their kids, they sold it to their neighbors, and in 2009, Maple Hill Creamery was born. Tim tells me it didn't take too long before they almost lost it all. Years of credit, the recession, bootstrapping a business, they had almost nothing left, and they needed investment capital to make it work. S2G, Armonia, Investico, good food investors looked at Maple Hill, and they saw an opportunity for value and impact. Now you can find Maple Hill Creamery products in over 5,000 stores across 50 states. Maple Hill Creamery is setting the gold standard for what a good food company looks like. They're raising the bar on a good food supply chain. But grass-fed dairy isn't the only sector that needs investment capital to succeed. Let's look at organic produce. 11% growth from 2014 to 2015 in sales compared to the overall food sector of roughly 3%. And we know that those organic producers are driving higher prices for themselves. So wouldn't you want to make your farm organic? Well, it takes a multi-year, very expensive process that involves growing organically for many years without being able to use the organic label, without driving those premium prices. That expense can crush any farmer that doesn't have access to real capital to spend, which is most of them. Sustainable seafood, the fastest growing sector of agriculture. 8% growth annually over 20 years. But for a fishing company to convert to sustainable practices takes time and money. For an aquaculture company to invest in technology takes real cash. For a distributor to find and service a good food market needs financing. At Arabella, we're finding investable opportunities in companies that are making these conversions, but it needs more investment capital. There's 48 million Americans who are food insecure. Prices are too high, stores aren't accessible, and too often what they buy leads to diet-driven disease, and we're finding that there's opportunities for new food stores to take over. We're encouraged by the fact that some of these good food stores are reinventing big box grocery chains. They're taking over crummy bodegas, and they're proving that you don't have to spend your whole wallet to buy good food. But in an industry where the average profit margins are under 5%, the cards are stacked against good food grocers. Permitting, construction, dealing with suppliers who are used to dealing with big chains, not small entrepreneurs, makes it very hard for a good food grocer to succeed without significant investment capital. We're finding interesting investable opportunities in some of these good food grocers, but it needs more investment dollars. And we're finding this in other sectors as well, healthy food companies, companies whose products and services are helping to reduce food waste. This is what I call the good food capital continuum, and it's 3 phases of growth. The early seed stage is financed by philanthropic dollars, changing policy, spurring innovation, creating an enabling environment for good food companies to take root. The second phase is financed by impact investors. They are scaling innovation. They're proving concepts. They're the gateway from philanthropic assets to institutional assets. And those institutional assets are what's funding that third phase of growth. It's providing massive scale and massive impact. And Tim and his investors can only take Maple Hill Creamery so far. At some point, they're going to rely on institutional partners to continue to grow. We're encouraged by the increase in investment capital in the good food system. 21 investment funds alone were launched in 2014. But it's peanuts compared to the $600 billion food industry. One estimate suggests that there's an opportunity for $320 billion in investments in the good food system with a potential for 7x return by 2030. So what do we want? We want good food products that improve our health. We want sustainable agriculture practices that improve soil rather than contributing to climate change. We want a food system that's centered around equality, that provides good food, just food, affordable food for all. We also want more Maple Hill creameries. And for that to happen, we need more good food investors. As I advise philanthropists and investors who are working to improve our food system, I talk to them about the 3 ingredients of good food. Culture, which is creating demand for good food. Policy change, which is making the way for good businesses to take root. And infrastructure, investing in good food businesses who are making up our good food supply chain. Everyone that's working on good food doesn't need to tackle all 3 ingredients, but all 3 ingredients need to be tackled to provide good food for everyone. Thank you.